Fumblers, we've missed you guys.
We missed you.
Welcome back to the podcast. We are so excited to chat today. We have just completed week 9 of the NFL, and I feel like we've blinked our eyes and suddenly we're more than halfway through the season, which is really sad because live, laugh, love the NFL. But we wanted to recap some of our biggest winners and losers from week 9. Specifically, we watched football all day on Sunday. We were hard at work, glued to the TV, and we are giving you guys the biggest winners and losers of Sunday football week 9. And this is a list you don't want to miss. Noelle, how are you?
I'm good. Just, feeling excited. I'm going to be going to Italy, as you know.
No, literally you're leaving for Italy in like 12 hours.
Yeah, in 12 hours. So I'm kind of thinking about all of the packing / like little things that I need to do before I leave. But in terms of football, it was a great day of watching the games, and we're excited to talk about it.
So excited to talk about it. And yeah, if you guys ever questioned Noelle's dedication to the podcast and commitment, just know that she does leave for her vacation in literally 12 hours. And she's here recording, speaking with me, speaking with you. So Noelle, thank you for your dedication and your service.
Thank you.
To the podcast.
We've been talking about this almost our 20 plus episodes. So got to record when we can, because I know that there's sometimes weeks that like we have our bye week and we just couldn't do back-to-back bye weeks, or like we couldn't do 2.
Yeah, that's not like acceptable behavior.
No. I mean, if the NFL can't do it, then neither can we.
We have to hold ourselves to the same standard that the NFL players hold themselves to during the season.
Exactly. So yeah, we're dedicated. We're strong women. We're ready to go.
We're ready to go. And I think we've talked about this stat before, but it's like there's this like special number of 20 podcast episodes that apparently there's a stat that goes around that's, I don't know the exact number, but let's say 90% of podcasts fail before they hit their 20th episode. So I'm not saying we're like the number 1 podcast in the world yet.
Yeah.
But like we really are in the top 10 percentile of people who start podcasts because we've made it this far.
Yeah.
So Fumblers, shout out to you guys. Thank you for listening. We wouldn't keep doing this if we had 0 views on some of our content. So thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. And we're so excited that we've made it this far, and we're just going to keep going, keep improving, and keep making more content for you guys. We're so happy to be here.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, I do feel like if you guys do like and subscribe, thank you so much for sticking around with us. And like, if you talk to anybody that is at all interested in football or sports, share our podcast. We'd love it. We get so excited when we have like a new comment or a new listener. We're just honestly trying to build a community to make football just more accessible, and like you're talking to your besties about some drama that's happening on the field. So we're excited, and hopefully we're going to continue to grow from here.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll double down on that. If you're on your phone or computer right now and you don't currently subscribe to our YouTube, or if you haven't rated us on Spotify, as we've mentioned so many times, we're a grassroots podcast.
Yep.
We're currently unpaid by ourselves. And it would just mean the world to us if you could smash that subscribe button, if you could rate us 5 stars on Spotify. We are trying to like not be like desperate girls, and we're not. But like if you don't ask, we're not going to get it. And so stop listening for free. It's a little tacky on your end. And I think it'd be really great if you just committed to following us along. So thank you so much. Go ahead and do that right now. Boop. Thanks, guys.
Now that you have.
We love that. Well, we love you so much. Thank you so much for doing that. If you already followed us, love you so much. I will say, as much as it's a special day for this being our 20 plus episode, we also both had really great football days. Our boys both won. We got Chargers and Bengals victories this Sunday. It's not often that these two franchises win on the same day.
No.
So we are so excited. It's so much fun. We'll give a quick roundup of those games and just take a quick victory lap, because how could we not?
Yeah.
We'll start off with the Chargers. They were playing the Browns. It was a road game, so they were out in Cleveland. I shouldn't have had to set my alarm for this, but I had to set my alarm for 9:45 to make sure I would wake up for the 10 a.m. start time. You know, I was out last night. You never know. I like to catch up on my Z's over the weekend. So turned the game on at 10 a.m. and they had a really strong drive I think they were 3 and out in the beginning, but they had a really strong drive in the first quarter. They had a 3rd and long. I think it was like 3rd and 21 and it's not looking good. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, come on. We're like so close. Justin Herbert himself throws a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful touchdown pass to Joshua Palmer. And like the Chargers historically have not been a team that's like capitalizes on being 3rd and long by doing a surprise long touchdown play. I feel like that's like a Chiefs move or like an elite team move. So when I was watching, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like my team did this. It was so exciting. So after that, I did proceed to turn off the game because I wanted to also do some research for our podcast. So I thought, you know what? They're up. I'm so stressed out. Even when they're winning, it's almost worse when they're winning. I don't know if any sports fans can like relate to this, but it's like, if my team's winning, I have more to lose. If they're losing, I can just relax because like the pain's already happened.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just like living in so much fear when they're winning that something awful is going to happen. So I usually don't do this, but I did turn off the game. And when I tuned back in, this was, I think, in the 3rd quarter, we had scored multiple touchdowns. We'd held the Browns to only 3 points. So just some highlights I'll run by you guys. Justin Herbert got a 66-yard pass to Quentin Johnston. He's in his sophomore year. He scored a touchdown on this pass, and QJ was our 1st-round pick from last year. I've talked about him on the podcast before, and I haven't said the nicest things. I've said pretty negative things about him because he was a complete bust last year, and he's really coming into his own this year. So Quentin Johnston, honestly, if you guys are playing fantasy, he's probably not scooped up in your league. I'm thinking about picking him up on waivers to, combat some injuries that are on my lineups. So that was great. J.K. Dobbins had 2 rushing touchdowns. He's been such a star this season. And then what the real story was and has been this whole season is the Chargers defense. I am in love with the Chargers defense. And especially after the last 3 seasons of being under Brandon Staley as our head coach, we have had one of the worst defenses in the entire league. It's been absolutely awful to watch. The Chargers defense right now is one of the best in the league. I think they're number 1 in terms of points allowed per game. Their average is 13, so it's the best in the NFL currently. They only allowed 10 points today. And if I could, I would just kiss this defense on the mouth. Like, I want to mouth kiss every single one of those players. Like, in the Love Island when they have the kissing challenge.
Yeah.
And all the boys are like blindfolded and they have their little headphones on so they can't see who's kissing them. Like, I want that setup with the Chargers defense. And then I'm coming in and I'm giving them a little smoochy smooch.
Yeah.
That is how much I love each and every one of these men for what they're able to accomplish. Today, they had 3 interceptions. They blocked a field goal, 6 sacks. They've allowed 20 or less points every single game this season. And it is such a good feeling as a fan. I've always said I rather would have a good defense than a good offense because it's like you never want to lose your game on your defense. You don't want to come out and kill it on offense and then your defense just can't make any stops, which unfortunately I do feel like has happened for the Bengals earlier in the season because their offense has always been fire. So I just want to give them a very special shout out, a big kiss from me. Yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing them just continue to slay this season. It's such a good feeling. I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh. And they are right now in contention to potentially be a wild card spot in the AFC for playoffs. So I feel like this is such a good win for them. I kind of had the red zone on while I was watching some of the games. And I want to say the Chargers always had the lead, right? Like
they did.
They were always ahead.
My boys.
The Browns were trying to pick up the pieces the whole time, which they never did. Of course, on the Browns side, they have Jameis Winston, who's the starting quarterback right now, as Deshaun Watson is injured. So it's not shocking to me that like they didn't beat the Chargers because it does seem like they're gaining some momentum kind of midway through the season, which is exciting. Not great for the Bengals because they play them in like 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But always great to see the win for our boys, Justin Herbert and co. It's amazing.
Love it so much. Thank you. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Browns won last week. And so it's like, oh my God, just
and
our
they beat
luck.
the Ravens.
They beat the Ravens, which are such a good team. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. No spoiler alerts, but I was like, we can't beat a team that beat the Ravens. This is going to be ugly. Like, leave it to us to like play them when Deshaun Watson's out. But luckily, Jameis Winston, I think he maybe just had a hot start. He didn't throw any interceptions against the Ravens, but threw 3 today.
That's great.
Yeah, so great. He's like a weird guy. Did you see his post-game interviews like last week? I didn't watch any today, but the way he just like looks at the camera and just like delivers all these one-liners. He's very, very like religion focused. And so like a lot of the memes were like he could start his like the next mega church and like,
oh wow,
it's like, oh, great win. He's like, all glory to God, which is like what a lot of people say, but the way that his intensity like went about it was just top notch. Like he is dialed in and he is a character. Like I'm excited to see more of him.
I love that. It kind of reminds me of Derek Carr because he's literally like he's done sermons at a church before.
Way.
Yeah.
The crossover between the NFL and church is more than you would
Praise
think.
be. No, it is funny though because I mean it's not funny, but I do see it very commonly that players will have like God first in their bios.
Oh yeah, that's
so a lot
super
of
common.
guys are religious, so they say.
And if I was religious and on that football field, I'd be praying every day. And like, and if I lose, I'm like, oh, you know what? God didn't want me to have that one. We'll go out and get it the next time. So I think a lot of them like play with that same mentality and, you know, whatever helps them win, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. And they're obviously the best athletes in the world and in America. So faith first.
They're blessed.
Stay blessed.
Stay blessed. Let's talk about the Bengals.
Yes, the Bengals had such a great game today. And I will say it's coming off of a pretty unfortunate loss to the Eagles last week. And after that game, I actually even benched Joe Burrow. Like I went to the extent of benching him today, which obviously was the wrong decision.
You were mad.
But I was a little upset. But because in my head, I thought that the Eagles, I think their record right now is actually like 6-2. So they're actually a lot better than like what sports analysts are saying about them. So in my head, I was like, that's a beatable game, but the Eagles completely destroyed them. I don't remember what the score was, but they had like maybe 20-point lead, maybe 15 to 17 to 20 points, something along those lines. But it was a bad loss for them. Going into this game, I know that Max Crosby, he is always one to be tough. They're always blitzing the quarterback. And for someone like Joe Burrow, who, you know, he has good games, but when they are blitzing a lot, it can be very up in the air. So I didn't have a ton of faith in this game going into all of this, but luckily, they ended up with the win. They scored 41 points against the Raiders. The Raiders had, I believe, like 21 or 24. And it was a great game because Joe Burrow had a season high for the number of touchdowns. He had 5 total touchdowns. And that's in line with his week 5 performance against the Ravens. He also had 5 touchdowns in that game. Another spotlight during this game was Trey Hendrickson. He got 4 sacks today, which is a career high for him. And it was great. They were firing on all cylinders. And another crazy thing that like you would think that they would have by now is this is actually their first win at home. Of this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've lost a lot in front of their fans. And obviously like it does seem like now the Bengals fans have the expectation that they should be winning. Like they have T for one more year. They got their guy Jamar and they just picked up, you know, Zach Moss from the Colts, and they have Gesicki, who's a Patriot or was a former Patriot. And in our eyes, this is a complete team. But they are, of course, still working on those defensive problems. They are getting better with every game, but there was a period where the Bengals were up maybe 2 touchdowns and the Raiders were able to score on them. And it was just like a stop that they could have gotten, but it was just some miscommunication. And I do think that there is still a little bit of like uneasiness on the team and in Burrow's eyes because they are technically could still be in contention to be a wild card spot, but they're not right now. They're fighting that with the Chargers, with the Broncos, with the Colts. And there's one more and I'm forgetting, but they have a lot of work to be done. They are still not like a 500 team, which if you guys don't know what 500 is, it's basically where your score, your total scores is like maybe 5-5, 6-6. So you have the same amount of wins and losses. They're still fighting for that. They're 4-5 now, which they're getting there. If they win next week against the Ravens, then they will be, which would be great. But again, like we know how the Bengals are against the Ravens. They usually never beat them. They never beat them. And so I'm in my head kind of expecting that loss. But one thing that does give me hope is that when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, their record was 10-6. And if they unfortunately get beat by the Ravens next week, that puts them at 6.
So they
in week 10
got that part taken care of.
And then I think they haven't had their bye yet. So they have their bye in the next few weeks. So that's 1 week where, they can breathe a little bit, they can get healthy. But they're going to have to play perfect from here on out, which is scary and not a good position for them to be in. Joe Burrow, even after in his post conference post game press conference. Post game press conference. He, they got the win, and he had not a single smile the whole time.
Wow.
So he's like, yeah, we got a win, but that doesn't mean anything right now. That was basically his tone. He's
So
just
hot.
like, we have to keep playing football. And like, I feel like it's always been a philosophy for the Bengals to always just like look 1 week ahead. Don't think about the big picture, how many losses you have. Look at what's coming up next week, who your opponent is, and let's try to get that win. And that's exactly what he's doing now. I think the whole team is, and we're going to take this one. We're going to enjoy it, but they got some games to win still. But overall, we're excited.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those like for sure wins that I'm happy we actually got. So more to come for next week when they play the Ravens.
No, so exciting. And I mean, as much as Joe Burrow wasn't able to celebrate the win, I do think you as a fan should be able to celebrate, because it was it was a really dominant game. I don't think, even though you're saying like there were some stops they should have had, I do feel like they were on top the whole game. And you never know with the Raiders. They're sleepy, like a very good team when they want to be. They're the last team that's beat the Chiefs. And so they're not an average team. It's so funny. They look so mid some days, and then other days it's like, oh, they really turn it on, and they're so good.
It's
so
wild.
I feel like playing the Raiders, you never know what you're going to get. So it definitely is a win that you guys should be proud of.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned their record is 4-5, but they started off the season 1-4. And then in the last few games, they've gone 3-1, right? And so the momentum is really in their favor, as much as they have that below 500 record.
Yeah.
In their last 4 games, they've won 3 out of 4.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And before the season even started, I think you and Pete called out that like, can we just skip to like week 3 or week 4 when the Bengals actually are good, because they always lose in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's expected.
So crazy.
It is.
I didn't know that until the season you guys told me, and I'm like, that is insane. They were not doing anything in the beginning, and I was like, feeling really sad for you guys. I was like, this is going to be an awkward football season.
No, it is. And I mean, we were just expecting that, and like, I don't know what it is, whether it's the coaching staff or what, but like this was also like the first training camp that Joe Burrow had. So
that's insane.
You would think that they would be on it, but I think we saw very early on that the defense was just lacking, and we lost a lot of players in free agency this year. So while Burrow was healthy, unfortunately, Jamar was still kind of like figuring out his contract, and then T was earlier in off season. They had missed some games, but like, it's all about both sides of the ball. And I think we're starting to see some improvements from the defense, which is really exciting. But we're gonna be excited about this win. Yeah. Until hopefully next week.
We're going to take the dub, and then, we're going to deal with next week when we get to next week. Yeah. We're happy for now. We get a victory Monday.
Keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah. Keep your blinders on. But congrats to the Chargers and the Bengals. You guys know, as much as we cover all the teams, this is a Chargers-Bengals podcast.
It is. And we haven't talked about them in a while.
We're really showing a lot of self-restraint. And like, I almost was like, we can't, like we were talking about what games we wanted to watch today. Like the Bengals and the Chargers games were not on our list to speak about. And it's like, well, I obviously know like we're kind of like sneaky still watching them, but we love them to death. We're so happy that they got wins, and they're both on a little bit of a little win streak. Yeah. Of one game.
Of one game each.
So let's hope we can
3-4 though. That's good for the Bengals.
Yeah. No, we're great.
We'll take it.
And In other good news, we have some Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift updates. And it's so great. So Travis was at night 2 in Indianapolis, the Eras Tour, supporting his girl Taylor. And there was so much footage of this.
Yeah.
So he was in VIP, of course, with Taylor's mom, with some friends, and he was dancing to all the songs. But I think something that some fans noticed and people are posting on TikTok was that there were like professional camera crews following him around, and they captured a moment. We didn't obviously see the professional footage because it's not released, but people, you know, the Swifties are on the case like no one else. They are posting all of this live on TikTok. And so they're posting during So High School, which is a song that everyone thinks is about Travis. Taylor kind of smiles over at him in VIP, and he's smiling back. And the camera, professional crew, is capturing all of this.
Yeah.
So what does this tell us? It tells us that we think that the Eras Tour is getting a documentary. We've obviously already had Eras Tour movie, and that is just a replay of the concert. And have I watched Eras Tour movie 4 times? Yes, I have. And it's amazing, and I get the chills every time. But what we didn't get in the Eras Tour movie is anything behind the scenes, anything about Taylor's mentality going through all of it. As we found out on Tortured Poets Department and her song I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, she was going through it at the beginning of the Eras Tour.
Yeah.
She was heartbroken. She was shattered on the floor and still performing every night for 4 hours to all of her fans. You would never know she was going through anything. So I really want to see this documentary. Number one, to just know more about what she was going through then and like how she's such a warrior pushing through all of that. Number two, obviously Travis is going to be in it because the cameras are capturing him. And any content I can get of Taylor and Travis, I'm eating it up with a spoon. Nom, nom, nom. Like, I want it so bad. And I think that the professional crews following Travis around, in my mind, there's no other explanation than a documentary.
Oh man. One thing about the Swifties is y'all are private investigators.
They are finding everything out.
They find out everything. But first off, that would be amazing if there is a documentary. I do feel like there's already a good amount of like documentaries / footage of her. She had Reputation. She had Eras Tour out on like Disney Plus or whatever. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I do kind of feel like though, if you're an artist at that level, you should be recording like as much footage as you can, whether you're putting out a documentary now, in 5 years, later on, like you should be filming everything.
Yeah. It could be like a biopic.
Yeah. Like why not? And sometimes I see footage of like, I don't know what song she was making, but she was with Jack Antonoff.
Jack Antonoff.
Jack.
Yeah, her boy.
Yeah. And they were like making a song together, and it might have been in a documentary, but I thought I just saw some like found footage on TikTok. It was one or the other. However, like they were filming there, you know? I feel like the crowd wants the back, like behind the scenes kind of footage. And if you don't always have a camera on you, it's like, I think Taylor knows that people are going to love anything.
Anything she puts out, people are buying.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It's insane. But especially now with like, I don't think anyone's ever loved a relationship that she's had more than Travis Kelce. And we've never had a more public relationship with her.
Yeah.
Especially after the 6 years with Joe Alwyn that was very private and not in the spotlight. Like we are so hungry for like a visible relationship.
Yeah.
Side note completely. I saw a crazy like Page 6 headline that said Kendall Jenner is dating Joe Alwyn.
I saw that too.
Is there any way that's true? That's
I don't know.
crazy.
Just because of like a picture that they took together. I didn't read it, but I saw like, oh, here's some like evidence. And that
what was
like
the picture? I didn't even see
it.
It
was just a photo of them together with like a third person. I don't even
like walking at dinner. Like
no, it looked like they were dressed up. Like she looked really cute. He might have been in like a blazer type of deal, but I mean, I don't think and see a picture and go, man, I think that they're dating.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That could in Hollywood insinuate something.
Yeah.
But it also could be nothing.
It could be nothing. I hope
Like they were
it's
just at the
nothing.
same party.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like also just the crazy tea that like Kim Kardashian and Taylor Swift hate each other and have their feud. And obviously Kendall Jenner's sisters with Kim. And so it's like if Joe Alwyn, imagine how much he's probably so down bad, like how public Taylor and Travis are being. He's like, I'm going to go date the hot sister of your enemy. And that's Hollywood, baby. And even if it's not true, and even if it's like completely like just fabricated, just that one photo, I could still see both of them wanting to do it just because of the Taylor and Kim drama and just being like, this would be insane news. This like, because I do think celebrities a lot of the time will just do things to like gain more followers and fame, and even if it's completely not true. That's what people thought Taylor and Travis were, still think they are to this day. I refuse to believe that, but it's like, obviously, if you're making so much money and getting more famous off of something, it's a very valid motive to want to do something. So I think we're going to see more about Joe and Kendall.
I could see that.
But I hate it.
I hate it too.
I think they're a horrible couple. I can't stand it.
Like, and that's the thing that I don't find believable is I don't see them together. So in my head, I'm like, no, it's just a photo. Of course, they're not going to be together.
It's like so icky.
But, you know, on the other hand, it's Hollywood and anything can happen. And their motives can be, you know, who knows?
How is Joe Alwyn? Bless you.
I was trying to hold that in for a minute.
You finished your sentence. Again, professional, committed. Joe Alwyn is not worthy of these women. Like, number one, he was never worthy of Taylor Swift. He's not worthy of Kendall Jenner. I'm just like, ew. Like, what is up with this man? The last thing I'll say, Taylor and Travis, she's ending out her U.S. tour. I want to say the last show is Sunday night, Indianapolis in the U.S. And then she's going back abroad to do some more shows. So people are also speculating, of course, something's going to happen on the last night of the U.S. tour. We don't know. We'll see. I mean, by this time, when you guys get the episode, we'll know more, but we're recording this before we know. But there was a lot of footage of Taylor and Travis leaving the concert together. He came out from backstage with her and The Alchemy was playing, which again is like another song on the album that people think is about Travis. So that pretty much confirms it. And a lot of the comments I was seeing online were like, if he wanted to, he would, just about how many shows Travis has been to. And I've mentioned this before, but like Travis uses his football schedule when the Chiefs aren't playing on Sunday to his advantage so much, whether they're on a Monday, which they are this week, or on a Thursday. He's going out Saturday night and he's making it count. If he doesn't have football Sunday, you can best believe he's going to be out. He's in New York. He's in Indianapolis. He's with Taylor.
Oh, totally.
And so people are like, I mean, I've completely lost track of how many shows he's been to. I would go see the Eras Tour as many times as I could, but also I'm like, I can understand if seeing a concert that many times would like start to get old. Like
that's 3 hours.
That's a lot of time that you're like sitting there being supportive. So it's like he obviously, like, as we know, as he should, loves her so much and I do think like going to be at the shows, yes, it's public, but everything they do is public. And I just feel like that is it's more meaningful almost than like seeing them out at dinner because it's like he's fully there to support her. Yeah. And not sit through a concert. He's like, okay, the Eras Tour is amazing and anyone would go unlimited amount of times, but he's gone like 20. Like, I don't think I'd want to see any concert more than like 5 times. And so I imagine it's like still exciting for him, but it's still like that. Wow. The fact that he's there that many times is really, really special, really sweet of him. And it just, you can't, these people aren't fake. There's no way this relationship's fake. They're end goals and I'm just obsessed.
Yeah. Remember when there was like the rumors of the contract? Like we're way past that. So it's not way past, but we're past it.
That was nothing, you guys.
And for you to put that many hours into going to see your girlfriend for Eras Tour is not nothing. Like he loves her.
Obsessed with her.
And like, when are you gonna propose, Travis? Hello, we're waiting.
Propose. Maybe when the Eras Tour ends. Maybe after the Chiefs win their 3rd Super Bowl in a row.
Oh no, please. Not again.
It's gonna happen at this point. It will.
It will. When she goes on tour outside of the US, is it Toronto next? Or did she already do Toronto?
Toronto and Vancouver coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But she's not going to like Europe again, is she?
I'm not sure. Let's look up her schedule. The only reason I know Toronto and Vancouver, I think those are the last 2 stops, is because everyone said, like, again, Swifties are always on the case. The last 2 stops are T and V for Taylor's version. So people are like, oh, Reputation's coming out then.
Oh my gosh.
Let's just look at Eras Tour dates so we can see what she's doing next.
I do remember seeing at her Indianapolis show, they were setting up and they had like the friendship bracelet outside of the stadium like they did in New Orleans. And all of the fans were like, oh, the stadiums were like trading friendship bracelets.
That's so
it was
sweet.
really nice.
I love that like that's become such a thing. Like, it's so iconic. But yeah, confirmed it's just Toronto and Vancouver. So she'll be in Toronto starting on November 4th, and she will go to Toronto. Oh no, I just said that. She'll go to Toronto November 14th. Jesus, nice. I cannot speak. And then Vancouver in December. And then that's it. And the Eras Tour is done after December 8th, which is like really sad.
That's wild. Imagine being at that last show. I bet you she's going to do something big.
I know. Maybe. I bet Travis is going to be there.
Yeah.
Actually, they might be playing the Chargers on December 8th. Oh. So that's bad luck for the Chargers that it's December 8th. I think they're playing the Chargers in Kansas City. So that's too bad because he's really going to be putting everything into that performance knowing it's the last day of the Eras Tour. Damn it. That's a loss in our sights for sure.
Oh shit. Well, he's put in his hours for Eras Tour.
It's fine. It's completely fine. It also has like the starting prices of tickets. I'm on SeatGeek and it looks like the lowest price is like $1,700.
Oh dear.
Anyways, something else crazy related to Taylor and Travis happened this weekend. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it is going viral online. Jason Kelce was, I think it was a Penn State game. Mm-hmm. He was at a college for a rivalry game. He's leaving and, fans are following him, recording him, asking for fist bumps. So there's a lot of footage of this because everyone's kind of harassing him. He's like holding a case of beers, like leaving the stadium. And someone in the crowd says, like, basically, how do you feel that your brother is homophobic slur dating Taylor Swift? And if you thought Jason Kelce was about to ignore someone coming for both his brother and Taylor Swift, you are wrong. He turns around, he grabs the person's phone who's recording him and saying this, smashes it to the ground as if that wasn't enough. He also takes the phone off the ground and steals it. He's like, you're not getting this broken phone back. You're not recovering this footage of me slamming your phone. And he runs up to Jason and he's like, give me my phone back, give me my phone back. Mm-hmm. And Jason turns to him and basically goes like, who's the F slur now? Who's the F slur now? And it has sparked a lot of conversation online. And there are two camps. One, Jason Kelce, you are a king. Thank you for defending Travis. Thank you for defending Taylor. That man had it coming. That's the camp I'm in. I don't know about you. I know about you. Yeah. You're definitely in that camp. We're supportive of Jason Kelce defending his family and himself. And not in the support of some loser who's yelling at him after a game. Yeah. So the large majority of people are like, fuck yes, Jason Kelce. Thank you for standing up to him. It's crazy that people think just because he's famous, they can come up and harass him just to get attention from him. Yeah. That was awful. The other camp of people that are just like, I don't know why you would feel this way, but they're just like, oh, Jason Kelce used the slur too. So like, that's bad. Like we're mad at him for like kind of stooping to his level. I'm like, no, I kind of thought it was good.
Yeah. I feel like I saw two camps and it was like, okay, Jason was just defending his family. The other side was like, well, he shouldn't have thrown his phone and like been violent or whatever. He can press charges. And in my head, I'm like, you as a fan, if you are basically giving hate speech to a player, like why do you feel entitled to get in someone's personal space and have the audacity to get in his face and say something about his brother? Like, sure, should he have not thrown his phone? Like, it's better that than punching you in the face.
Yeah. See, because then that would be more of an issue.
That would be a problem. Yeah. And like, no, we don't condone violence, but
we still kind of would have condoned.
It's like, you had that coming for you. Yeah. So yes, but I feel like that was kind of like the safe way for him to get out his anger in a way and be like, step the fuck back. Mm-hmm. This isn't okay. I don't stand for this. Don't talk about my fucking family like that. Yeah. And I love that. I love that he did that.
I love that he did that too. And I do think like it's good that like as a society, we've like tried to like be like a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more careful. But I do feel like in some instances, the pendulum has swung too far in that direction where it's like, let's get back to the old fashioned. Like you talk about my family, I'm going to fucking beat you. Yeah. And I love that principle. And it's like, why would we be taking up for some Gen Z rude ass entitled student who's getting in Jason Kelce's face, calling Travis Kelce this homophobic slur, which I don't even get how that's used if he's dating a woman, but like whatever. It's still so rude. And it's like, why, like you said, why does he have any, like, why are we defending him? Like, he doesn't have any right if he's the one going out of his way to be rude to someone. It's not like Jason Kelce was talking trash and got in a fight. He's walking, minding his own business. Even the people that are asking for fist bumps and like recording him, he's very much like tunnel vision, just trying to get out of there. I can't imagine what that's like everywhere you go. Someone wants something from you.
Yeah.
And I think it's like turned into more and more this conversation around celebrities and athletes and stars of just like, they shouldn't have to give themselves, they shouldn't be accessible to you at all times.
Yeah.
And you are not entitled to that as a fan.
Exactly. Yeah.
They shouldn't be mean to fans, but if fans are mean to them first, I kind of like the retaliation because it's like, yeah, you had that coming. Don't do that. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. And you kind of like people getting what they deserve.
Yeah,
You like
totally.
seeing that revenge.
And I hate when people are like, well, they should have seen this coming because that's what fame does.
No.
And it's like, well, yeah, we get that when you're an athlete, there is an associated fame with it, but that doesn't give fans the right to just completely invade people's privacies and do whatever they want just because they're a fan. And, you know, sometimes it's not the right time and place. It seemed like he was giving the signals that like he's looking down, he just wants to get out, he's not ready to interact, which I feel like Jason, when he's out in public, he's usually like very good at like taking photos with fans and stuff and like chatting with them. But like sometimes sometimes you don't want that. And I think that's okay. And that is what fans need to realize.
Yeah. And it's not even just that they were in his face asking for photos, asking for fist bumps, and he got frustrated and kind of like broke then. It was like they were actually saying really rude shit to him.
Yeah.
And
I would be,
like, like you say that about his family and about Taylor, and you think you're just going to walk away unscathed.
Yeah.
If that was me, I think I would have just kept walking because I'm scared and I'm like so passive. But like, so that's why I especially really like to see people standing up for themselves.
Yeah.
Because Jason Kelce is never going to be seen as a little bitch. Like he's never going to be seen as someone that you can walk all over and say shit to. And he's going to make sure you know that.
Yeah.
And I respect that so much.
I feel like we've seen a lot of Jason in the media, and he's just been like the guy that's dancing on a stage, and he's, you know, being an analyst or an anchor after post game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us see him as this fun-loving guy, but we saw this other side of Jason that he showed everybody, like, just because I retire doesn't mean that you can fuck with me.
Yeah.
I'm still a macho man.
He's a macho man. He's an ex-center of the NFL. He's fighting dudes for a living.
Yeah. Why do you think the Eagles were so good at the brotherly shove?
What's the tush push? Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, listen, don't mess with Jason Kelce. I'm glad that little idiot had what was coming. Because it's also like a moment for like, there's so many people that say shit and then don't get what they have coming. And it's like, these people just like think they can get all these attentions, or they can get like, they feel so good about themselves for putting other people down. And so you love to see like Jason Kelce fucking him up.
Justice is served.
Justice is served. Jason Kelce is so thriving and hot and fun and amazing in retirement.
He's loving life.
He's doing so much. I love him in his soup commercial. I love him throwing a phone. I love him on the podcast.
Yeah.
You can't make us hate Jason and Travis.
He's really thriving.
Yeah. I love it so much. But yeah, that was an insane story. And I was shocked when I saw the news kind of skewed in versions that are like, oh, like controversy around Jason Kelce using like this homophobic slur. And I'm like, you better not be saying. I was reading these articles. One was like TMZ, and it was covering the fact that Travis was at the Eras Tour concert, and it was like, Travis like steps out amid like homophobic slur controversy. Like his brother said this to someone, like fully not even giving the full context that like he was saying it to stand up for Travis and saying it back to someone who already said it to him. So I'm like, you kind of get like a free pass if someone starts it, I think. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But
I mean, he wasn't the one that like stirred up saying that word. Like, could he have not said it? Yeah. It might have made his case a little better, but in that moment, like he was obviously upset.
That was kind of cool that he said it.
Just shoving it right back in his face.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. We love it.
Thank
you for standing up for yourself, for your fam, for Travis.
I'm inspired. It's like, it's like the lyric from like Vigilante Shit by Taylor Swift. Like, I'm not the one who starts shit, but I know how it ends. That's what Jason Kelce did. He was on his Vigilante shit.
Yeah, he was.
All right. Shall we get into the biggest winners and losers, the biggest fumblers, losers of the week 9 Sunday football NFL? We, as we mentioned, watched all of the games today, which was a lot of work. So again, just really doubling down on us being committed to the podcast today. But
we're trying. We'll try to get through fast.
We have each selected who we think is the number 1 winner of the of week 9, and then we've also selected our biggest loser. So
who is it?
Without further ado, Noelle, I will pass it over to you to talk about.
And we're starting with winners, right?
Let's start with winners. Let's start positive and then end
we'll start
negative.
on a positive note. This is a game. It was a divisional game in the AFC East, and we're all really excited. I'm talking about the Dolphins and Bills. Obviously, Tua has been back. There's been a lot of questions about how he will perform. Unfortunately, Tua is 0-2 since he's been back. But I think like the big spotlight of this entire game was the kicker, Tyler Bass. And if you guys don't know, Tyler Bass has been having somewhat of an up and down season. There's been a lot of questions on his consistency. And I think a lot of this started really going back to last year in the AFC divisional championship game against the Chiefs. Tyler Bass missed a field goal for them to win 1 point against the Chiefs. Yeah. And unfortunately, they lost that. He was so upset, or he was obviously really upset, but the fan base was so supportive of him. They actually started raising money for like some of the charity work that he does. And I think it was like a animal rescue and a shelter. So the Bills Mafia is really supportive of this man. And I think that throughout this season, he has been attempting to kind of regain his confidence because even in this regular season, he's still a little bit up and down. But in this particular game, it was 10 seconds left. The current score, or the score at the time, was I think 27-27. It was a tie. The game was tied. And in the last 10 seconds, Tyler Bass kicks a 61-yard field goal attempt and completes it. He's cheering. The crowd goes crazy. This is in... I think it's in up in Buffalo. So the fans are very excited. And even afterwards, you saw support from Josh Allen in his press conference, and he was in tears. He said it was really emotional because he's been working so hard from this moment, and this is exactly how I pictured that this would happen. Like, he almost was manifesting it for himself, and I know that hasn't always worked out for him in this season, but during this game, when we know that the Bills have pretty much dominated against the Dolphins every single time they played them in the last like few years. I don't know when the last time the Dolphins have come out on top, but overall this was a huge win for the Bills and for Tyler Bass. But just to give you some more context on this kick, this was not only Tyler Bass's career long kick, but this also set a franchise record. The previous record was 59 yards back in 1993.
Oh my God.
So this has been, a long time coming for Tyler. I think he needed this win under his sails to really take this momentum forward, because now the Bills, they're 7-2. And it was really great because the Bills started off really slow in this game. So overall, very excited to see this win with the Bills and Mr. Bass.
I love that one of our number 1 overall winners for week 9 is a kicker.
We love it.
And both of us had him on our short list of people that we should highlight as a winner. So I think it's so well deserved. Congratulations, Tyler Bass. And I think it's not only that it was the, franchise record, 61 yards is crazy. That's more than half of the football field, obviously, which is like insane. But it's also because we remember feeling so awful for him against Kansas City when he missed that field goal at the very end of the game. And as much as he did have that support of the Bills fan base of people donating to his animal charity, I want to say it was like specifically for cats. I think he's a cat guy, which like just makes him like, cat guys are like emotional and like sweet and sensitive. So it's like this poor guy can't take all the hate. Like, listen, but it was half of that. But I think that was more as a response to people coming for his throat online. He was getting death threats. Like, how insane fans get about their season, and especially during the playoffs. I think last year during the playoffs, he maybe was like 2-5 for kicks, which is insanely low for kickers. So you could just tell he was like having an episode where like they call it like the yips, where like the kickers, they start missing a bunch of field goals. And it's really sad. It's really uncomfortable to watch because it's like, it's just them that can do it. It's not like when an offense falls apart or a defense, like it's just truly all eyes are on this one person. And so when he missed that field goal against Kansas City, which of course everyone, wanted them to beat the Chiefs. I remember where I was. I was at Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood, and we were sitting near some Bills fans, and it was awful. Like it was the most emotional time in that bar. And I'm not saying people with me were sending death threats, but it just like that came out online that there was so much hate on Tyler Bass of like, you cost us our entire season. We would be like, we would have won if you would have just made that stupid field goal. So I think the like cat charity stuff that people were donating to is also just in response of like, oh my God, this guy just had the worst day of his life and everyone in his own fan base wants to kill him. And like, that's so sad when it's like, you expect, the opposing fan base to give you shit, but your own fan base, it's like, okay, well then who likes me if my own fan base doesn't like me? Yeah. And there was a really sweet video today of him getting a game ball afterwards. And he like was kind of talking to his team and making a speech about like, that this has been a tough year for me. That I've kind of had a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs in terms of his performance. And he started choking up and he was had some tears in his eyes. Yeah. Just talking about how his team stood behind him the whole time, and that you could tell like this moment would feel amazing for any kicker, but I think especially for Tyler Bass, just knowing the year that he's had and that his team stuck by him and he was able to pull off the biggest kick in Bills history.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we love to see it. I know that he was under a lot of pressure at this time. And like I mentioned, like he's been trying to rebuild his confidence. And obviously there's a lot of noise around him, not only coming from fans, but also from the coaching staff. I know a few weeks ago they had tryouts for kickers and they hired some people on the practice squad. So there was a lot riding on this game. And the fact that it ended with him being the hero of it and he got that game day ball was... This is why football is fun, because like you feel for these players, they're humans too. You do see that like they're not always perfect, and it really just comes to show how much work that you have to put into in order to kind of overcome some of those mental blockers. And he definitely did today. So we're proud of him.
And like you said, this is what makes football so fun and so special, is that human element that you can connect to and like really like empathize with what he's been going through and just be so happy for him. And I can guarantee you guys, there's probably not a lot of other podcasts that are saying one of our biggest wins from week 9 is a kick, but that's why Girls Don't Fumble is special, is because we have that human element that we're attaching to the players. And that's, why we love football so much. So we love you, Tyler Bass. We hope that, people are still donating to your animal charity. And
please, maybe we should. Maybe we make a Girls Don't Fumble.
Yeah, Girls Don't Fumble pledges. We'll pledge money to find
the name of it. But I think it was like a cat rescue in Buffalo.
I think it was. And I was like, I love that it was specifically cats. Yeah. So sweet.
We love a cat, man.
We love it so much. Okay, so our second winner of Sunday football, we are sticking on the offensive side of the ball. And this is a team who, it wasn't necessarily a close game in the slightest, but they just had an absolutely dominant performance. I'm talking about the Baltimore Ravens offense. They are a huge winner for me in week 9. They had a 41-10 absolutely dominant win over the Denver Broncos. And 3 key players on the offense just went off today. You had Zay Flowers, wide receiver, who's in his second year with the NFL. He had 127 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He was looking amazing. Also, Derrick Henry, it's his first year with the Ravens after getting traded to them, and he has been a stellar addition to this roster. I remember in the offseason we were talking about this trade that we were really excited for Derrick Henry just because, he's a running back and we know how much the Ravens like to run the football. And so he has been put to work. He scored 2 touchdowns this game. He has scored a touchdown in every single game since becoming a Raven. He scored 13 touchdowns this season. And it's like, give him MVP right now. He's so good. He also hit over 100 career touchdowns today. He's on 101. Like, I wonder which one was his favorite. Like, how does it even feel? Over 100 touchdowns in your career.
And doesn't he already have like 1,000 rushing yards or something crazy?
He does.
Like, it's insane. Usually if you're determining like how good a player is, it's after a season, if you've hit over 1,000, like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not even week 10 yet.
He's like, done. He could literally go out now and do better than so many other running backs in the league. I hope he doesn't because he's on my fantasy team and love him to death. He's on 2 of our fantasy teams. Yep. So that's very fun. He just looks like an absolute machine running out there. And if you guys don't know, like running backs, they tend to be a little bit more like short. Like they're very solid, but they're like usually the shorter guys on the field. Like there's some guys that are even like 5'8" and they're running backs. Yeah. Derrick Henry is just a bus headed down the field. He's so fast. He's so solid. He's so big. And I'm like, I don't know anybody tackles this man. And they don't. And that's how good he is. And it's so amazing. So Derrick Henry has been so much fun to watch as a Baltimore Raven. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not discuss Lamar Jackson when talking about this dominant Baltimore Ravens offense. So if you thought Lamar Jackson, he had a good game. No, he had a perfect game. What I mean by that is that he got a perfect quarterback passing rate. And I'll explain in a little bit what goes into these the quarterback rates, because I was like, I don't even understand like what this is. But he finished the game with this perfect rate. This is the 4th time in his career, and he is the first person in NFL league history that had that many perfect games. He won MVP last year. And again, I'll say, give him co-MVP with Derrick Henry. These two are absolutely unstoppable. The fact that they're on the same team, incredible. They're also both together on one of my fantasy teams, but unfortunately we're losing this week. So that's too bad. You can't win them all. But yes, 4th time in his career that he's had a perfect passer rating. And so I wanted to look into this a little bit more. This game specifically, he completed 16 of 19 passes, 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if you're wondering what goes into a passer rating, there's 4 things that quarterbacks are graded on, and each one of them has a maximum limit. So if a quarterback reaches the maximum in each of those, that's how they get to the perfect rating. And the perfect rating is 158.3, which I'm not even going to get into why that's annoying. Just call it 100. If it's already some sort of weird index with maximums, just say you got 100% on your test. Yeah. The 0.3 is really what gets me. Yeah. He got 158.3. And that's perfect.
It's an odd number too.
Really? That's how you guys are doing this? There's not a better way. Apparently this formula was developed in the 70s. And I'm just here calling the NFL to please just make a different formula or make this make sense and easier for people to understand. But looking into the 4 things they're graded on, it's number 1, their percentage of completed passes, how many yards they gain per pass attempt, the percentage of passes that result in a touchdown, and then the percentage of passes that result in interceptions. So what you need to get to the maximum in each of those 4 categories, your completion percentage needs to be a 77.5 or higher. Again, why when they're writing this up do they have so many decimals? Do it 80%. Yeah. No one's going to mind. It's fine. Yards per attempt, 12.5 or higher. Make it 13. Touchdown percentage, 11.9 or higher. I swear, I don't know. I'm so anti decimals right now. And interception percentage, 0%. They're not tolerating a single interception in the game, and they shouldn't. And Lamar Jackson threw 0. So again, he was absolutely perfect when it came to all of these metrics. And he's, the number 1 person in the NFL to do this the entire history. He's never gotten 4 perfect games, and he has.
I mean, I hate to say it, but of course he does. Of course he does.
You see him play out there. How can he not?
Yeah. I mean, the Bengals have to play the Ravens and Lamar twice a year. So we get to see how special he is just in the flesh. And honestly, their games are always so exciting to watch, especially now that Derrick Henry is on the team. doesn't shock me that they're just like absolutely dominating every single freaking game. Who let this happen?
And you're like,
this isn't
we're
fair.
playing them soon.
And honestly, if it were up to me, I want to see the Ravens. I want to see the Ravens going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to see the Chiefs. No offense to all of our Chiefs fans out there, but they're already great and they're going to be great next year. And so are the Ravens. But I feel like of all the teams, although they had a slow start, like they look great on every single cylinder. Whereas for me, I feel like the Chiefs, it's like, how did they keep escaping these? How do they keep escaping these games with a win? But the Ravens deserve it. And it's because of Lamar, Derek, Zay Flowers, and their whole defense. I mean, the whole team is great, but their offense has really been like perfect in the last like 5 games.
It's been so great to watch as just like a football fan, I guess, unless you're in their division, but you're being supportive.
Yeah.
It almost like it reminds me of like, like in business when there's like anti-monopoly like laws. So it's like really big companies can't acquire other really big companies. Like, I don't know, Disney, Hulu can't go acquire Netflix. It feels like the Ravens shouldn't have been able to acquire Derrick Henry. Like, why did anyone let that happen?
Let this happen?
That's not fair. There's too many people that are so good at running the football. Like, that offense is already too good. How did you let both of these men end up on the same team?
I don't know.
Well,
thanks, NFL. No,
I do hope they go to the Super Bowl because that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we want to see them.
The AFC is just so good. So we're just talking about like, the Bills are 7-2.
Yeah.
Ravens had a slow start at 0-2 this season, and now they've picked it back up. The Chiefs are obviously amazing. And how is there going to be any room for like anyone else other than the Chiefs is the problem, is like these guys are so good.
Yeah. It's all going to come down to the playoffs, and hopefully Mahomes just like isn't quite in the game,
Maybe he'll get injured.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. We're all thinking it. We're literally all thinking it. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Love you, Patrick. Okay, well, those are our 2 winners, Tyler Bass and the offense of the Ravens. We had so much fun watching you guys today, and you are our winner picks of week 9. We will now go in to the biggest losers, the fumblers of the game, the people that we just cringe. We're like, ooh, God, that was bad. I don't want to be you. I feel bad for you. Noelle, kick us off. Who are we? Who's the big old loser?
Oh, man. My loser for this week was in the afternoon slot. And it was a game, also another divisional game in the NFC West. It was the showdown against the Rams versus the Seahawks. And unfortunately, within the first quarter, everybody that was watching realizes, oh, this is going to be an ugly game. And who actually ended up keeping it an ugly game,
being the ugliest,
the ugly duckling is Geno Smith.
Ooh, you hate to be Geno Smith right now.
You hate to be Geno Smith. And honestly, I felt so bad because this game was at home for the Seahawks. So the fans are so loud. You can hear them through the screen or for the TV. And unfortunately, the game started off really slow for both sides. It was scoreless all of the first quarter, and there was just nothing happening, which makes me think, okay, the defense is doing a really good job, but no one wants to watch a freaking game like that. We want to see some scores. We want to see some big plays down the field, and we didn't really get that until it was the second quarter or the end of the first, and it was a field goal, and it was the Rams. They were up 0-3. Then at that point, eventually in the second quarter, we start to see some life from the Seahawks. And it all starts with an interception, which leads to an interception on the Rams side. Stafford is throwing a ball which is intended for Puka Nacua. And unfortunately, it gets intercepted, and a linebacker of all people just kind of gets into a little tussle with Puka Nacua. And he shoves him, and right after that, you can tell Puka got pissed, and he punches him in the face. Unfortunately, this leads to Puka getting expelled from the game, basically. He was expelled from school for the day.
He threw a right hook and got kicked out.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
He straight up like closed fist, it seemed like. But like also in my eyes, I feel like I've seen that and I don't think he should have been ejected. But like,
yeah, I agree.
You
actually.
know, like the boys are just in a tussle and like maybe just sit him out for a little bit or have a penalty, which they did. Not only was he ejected, but there was also a 15-yard penalty, which led to a Seahawks touchdown in the last like minute before halftime. And I believe the Rams had the ball. I think they were 3 and out. It goes back to the Seahawks. They get another touchdown before the end of the half.
Yeah.
So now the Hawks are up, 2 touchdowns. And we're thinking, okay, Seahawks are looking good. They have some life. That's kind of when the momentum shifts a little bit in the Seahawks' favor. But Sean McVay, of all people, he just completely destroys them in the second half of the game. In the second half, Geno Smith had 2 interceptions. And he already had 1 in the first.
It's too many interceptions.
3 interceptions. He did have 3 touchdowns. He had a pretty solid day in fantasy. He had between 18 to 20 points. But unfortunately for him, the interceptions led to his demise. Mm-hmm. And the thing about this game was they ended this game in a tie. They go into overtime. The Seahawks win the coin toss. So they have the ball. It's like, okay, this is your chance. This is your chance to win. They have the ball first. Good. They eventually they are so close to the goal line. Mm-hmm. They're on 4th down and the Rams get a stop and it's like inches before they get their next down. They put up a stop completely and the Rams eventually get the ball back. When the Rams get the ball back, they get a touchdown and win the game.
Yeah, that was really crazy touchdown.
It was crazy. And a little win from that was the touchdown was from a guy named DeMarcus Robinson, and he was a backup for Puka Nacua since he had been ejected from the game.
Wow.
So he got his tutty. I think he was from the practice squad. But all this to say, Geno Smith did not do a good job today. Mm-mm. And unfortunately, I feel like whenever I watch Seahawks games, I'm sorry for all my, Seahawks fans out there, Geno Smith can be very good, but also every game I've watched, like they never come out with the win. And I know that this was like a much needed one at home. It does seem like a little unrest from the fans, but overall, he's got to play better. And if he doesn't, then I question where he will be next year.
Yeah. Wow. It's true. I mean, when the game was going into half, I had the same thought as you. I was like, okay, like the Seahawks got this. Unfortunately, it's a bad loss for the Rams. And, they were just so excited to have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back. And now, of course, Puka Nacua, he's healthy, but then he's going to get ejected from the game for throwing a right hook at a linebacker. It's like, God, the Rams, like I was feeling really bad for their fan base. But then I was like, okay, maybe LA fan base, we could all be Chargers fans. Great. And so these are all the thoughts running through my mind. And the fact that they not only lost the game, but lost in overtime, it's just like, that loss hurts so much more. And this Seahawks team, they're another one who they started off the season 3-0. And everyone was just kind of in awe of how well they were doing and just thought, wow, okay, Seahawks are someone that we have to watch in the NFC this season. And they are better than we expected and they look super solid. Geno Smith is playing incredible. And now after going 3-0, they're now 1-5. In their most recent games. And that's such whiplash as a fan. That sucks to see. And I'm really big fan of like the momentum of teams. I think that is really important of just all teams are going to be good, but I think the mentality you bring in is going to be the difference maker. And so coming off of 1 win, 5 losses and heading into your next game, like I'm not feeling good about the Seahawks for the rest of the season. And I'm not feeling good about Geno Smith, like you said. And if they have a losing record, they don't make it into playoffs, like, Geno Smith, what are you going to do next season? Yeah. What's going to happen?
And I feel like when you're an NFL team, when you're hot is really important. Like I would take being hot kind of closer to the playoffs any day. Even if you are kind of chasing some wins to like get there, it's fine. But even if you're doing really good in the first 3 weeks of the NFL, it's like, great, you're doing amazing. But I feel like anybody who follows football enough realizes that there are a lot of games to be played and a lot can change. There can be injuries. So it really depends on, keeping that momentum, which is tough. And it's going to be expected that there will be lulls. We're just hoping that Gino, for the love of God, can turn this around for the sake of your job. No,
he really needs to now more than ever.
Yeah.
Off topic, but another team, this is my favorite example of it this season, is Saints going from 2-0 to losing 7 in a row, another 2-7.
Yeah.
That is just brutal. Yeah, like you said, you can't call the season on the first 3 weeks of the NFL, and luckily for the Bengals, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, hopefully
we'll take it.
Hopefully it stays that way. Yeah. Oh, the Saints. I mean, I can only imagine how much whiplash the fan base has, because people were like, are the New Orleans Saints the underdogs of the season?
They're gonna win the Super Bowl.
I don't know.
And then Chris Olave was carted off the field today with another concussion. Oh, just so brutal for them. Derek Carr finally came back, and they lost to the Panthers of all teams.
Of all teams, yes.
But Bryce Young got his first W of the season.
Thank God.
But it's that's all I've been wanting, to be honest.
As empaths, we're so happy.
You're so happy for him. It's I've been thinking about him way more than he thinks about me. And way more than I should.
It's when someone asks you, what keeps you up at night?
It's the fact that Bryce Young got removed from quarterback of the Panthers, and then Andy Dalton came in, won that first game. I was like, oh my God, the Panthers are good. I'm literally going to kill myself. And they ended up being bad. They bring Bryce back in, and the fact that he won.
Yeah.
The Saints are cursed, though. You're losing to the Panthers when you have Derek Carr back. You're cursed.
It's crazy. Actually, isn't also Anthony Richardson, he was benched too, right? He's super young.
I mean,
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, he was benched after basically taking himself out of last week's game because he was a little winded.
Boys.
Yeah, he's just a tired boy.
Let's see what the score was.
Oh, yeah. We're recording during the middle of the Sunday Night Football game.
Oh, the Vikings won, but not by a lot. Just
21-13.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a Joe Flacco win with the Colts. He's so cute. I love him.
It.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I feel like every team that he plays on and it's his first game, he's been getting wins. He's been getting dubs. At least that's how it was last year a little bit. And
maybe next week.
He's pretty solid.
I am happy though for the Vikings because they were on a 2-game losing streak. And I was very afraid after they were 5-0 to make it 3 losses in a row. So the Vikings really needed this, and I'm very happy that they won.
Yay.
Woo.
Yeah. Okay. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. We are very proud of you, and go Sam Darnold. Okay, shall we chat about our next loser?
Tell me who's on the loser squad.
This man, it pains me and brings me joy at the same time to put him on the loser list, because when the season started, he's the opposite of he's a winner, but he's the opposite of a loser in the NFL. And I am talking about the one and the only Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. And the reason that I say he was the opposite of a loser at the beginning of the season is because he signed a $240 million contract, making him not just the highest paid player in Cowboys franchise history, but the highest paid player in NFL history. Of all the rich, successful men in the NFL, Dak Prescott became the richest at the beginning of this season when the Cowboys locked him up. They also had a big contract for CeeDee Lamb. So people, again, are the Cowboys are going to be really solid. We're very excited. They got their guy. They got him for another 4 years.
Yeah.
And he's riding high on this $240 million contract. Unfortunately, today they fell to 3-5 after losing to the Falcons 21-27.
Oh boy. The Falcons.
Let's go, Kirko. I know. I'm so happy for the Falcons because we're the biggest Kirk fans.
We love him.
We love it so much. The Falcons are killing it. And yeah, they looked really great today. But not only is this a loss and the Cowboys are falling to yet a deeper hole, getting it back to that 500 record, even a winning record, God forbid. He also was taken out of the game in the fourth quarter due to a hamstring injury, and will be getting an MRI to confirm how serious that is.
Yeah.
But if it's anything, I don't know, body parts from ACL, MCL, is that around there? He could be out, put it on injured reserve. He could be out for the season. And the biggest thing that's making news, not even the fact that he's injured, but he was caught in 4K on the sidelines saying, we fucking suck about the Cowboys. And you don't hear the audio, but you can very clearly read his lips.
You can.
He's just looking, he's out, he's just like, we fucking suck. And that is not what you want to hear from your franchise quarterback that you just paid the highest contract to in NFL history.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Are you sure it was we? Like, could it have been any other word? Maybe it was like, I fucking suck.
I don't think he's the type to like take the loss on himself.
That's fair.
He's like, we did this.
Okay.
He's not taking ownership of that loss.
Which is crazy because it's like you are the wins, the losses, the everything.
Yeah.
As the quarterback.
He's everything. When I went on X today to see just like, cause we were like watching all the games and stuff. And I was like, let me just see like what's trending online. And I see that Dak's trending. I'm like, oh, like I wonder, like I was like, maybe he got injured or maybe like he did something good. It's literally just all these videos of him saying how much the Cowboys suck. Like, and that is one of the worst looks. Like I just think about and we're very lucky for this, like how much you love Joe Burrow and how much I love Justin Herbert and how much their teams love them and their teams ride for them and how they ride for their teams. It's really awful to have a quarterback that hates your team.
Right.
Not that he hates the Cowboys, but like just to see that, it's just, that'll take the wind out of your sails like nothing else will.
Yeah. And don't bite the hand that feeds you. You just got paid. You just got like you're the highest paid NFL player. What do you mean? That's crazy.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And now he's injured. He's just going to be a little sulking sad boy.
He's going to be a sad boy.
Yeah.
And because I was like reading up on his contract, I did some math. I asked ChatGPT to do the math. I obviously didn't do these formulas myself, but his contract, $240 million, $231 guaranteed, which is crazy. And that's about $60 million per year. Mm-hmm. So if we're thinking that he's playing in every single game, 17 games per year, and he's getting paid by the game, his $60 million per year contract ends up being about $880K per quarter per game. So just for argument's sake, let's round that up to $900K per quarter per 15 minutes of a football game he's getting paid. You back that into his per minute salary, he's making $60,000 per minute of the game. That's
oh my gosh.
$1,000 per second of the NFL game. $1,000 per second. And he's still on the sidelines being like, yeah, bro, we suck. And I also was like, okay, if he's making $60K per minute of the NFL game, and that is like, just like to break it down, because like we hear like he's the highest paid player in NFL history. This is massive money. But like we hear about these hundreds of $1 million contracts all the time in the NFL. And it's like, you kind of lose sight about how much money that is. And obviously it's taxed. We're not talking about all of that. Like I'm not getting into that. But like the fact that he is gross salary making $60K per minute of a game, I was like, I wonder what the average Dallas resident makes per year. $60K.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I can imagine.
So the average Dallas resident is making $60K per year. Dak Prescott makes that each minute of an NFL game.
Oh my gosh.
Is that not the craziest thing?
Makes like my paycheck in a few seconds?
Yeah.
Is pisses me off, honestly.
And he's being a little brat on the sidelines. It's like, Dak, get it together. I can't bring myself to feel bad for him.
No. Oh
that's why he's on my loser list. Like, go wipe your tears with your $1,000 bills and have better sportsmanship on the sidelines.
Yeah. And especially since he's coming off of like, you know, he just got engaged.
Yeah. Everything's going right for Dak.
Yeah. Like just really having like highs and lows for that man. But a lot of valleys, you know, a lot of valleys in this season. And I honestly love the Cowboys fans that will just like, they're also slandering Dak Prescott just as much of the entire world. Like it never stops at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, just all of the Cowboys fans that are burning the jerseys and they're burning the flags and they're just over it. They're freaking throwing their paintings of like cowboy memorabilia like on the floor. Like, they are fed up in the fact that they put so much faith and trust and like value on this player, and now he might be injured. He's not doing great this season. They're 3-5. I don't know what needs to change. I mean, now he's locked in a contract.
He's here to stay. Yeah. Whether he or the Cowboys fans like it or not, this is your guy. And yeah, it's like they love him when they win, they hate him when they lose. That's just like the sad reality of the NFL. But, you know, again, I don't feel bad for him. I mean, I'll feel bad if he's injured. I feel bad for anyone who's injured, but it's like, he's fine. He's making his money. He's good. I just don't know where the Cowboys go from here. And I don't know what's going to happen to make them a better football team. But this season has been a brutal watch for Cowboys fans.
It's tough. And I feel like we've talked about this on a previous episode, but I feel like for the Niners and for the Cowboys, they both are fan bases that do decently well, if not above average, pretty much every season. But do they do well in the playoffs and like get the Super Bowl win? No. And we haven't seen that for multiple years. I don't know if that's worse. I feel like that would be better because at least like every season you're
you're
pretty
making the
solid
playoff.
team. Although you don't win like the Super Bowl, sure. But then on the other side, there's franchises like, I don't know, the Texans who are starting to have faith, and the Lions who are like starting to get a little better, or maybe even the Commanders who very well could go to the Super Bowl this year if they keep playing like they are, where the expectations are just a little bit lower. And when they do well, fans are so excited.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have Cowboys fans and like also like Niners fans where they're like, they expect a lot.
Exactly.
And that's why Dak is kind of in an unfortunate situation, but also play better.
Exactly. Yeah. Cowboys are America's team, and America has high expectations for their quarterbacks, apparently. And yeah, I mean, to your point, the conversation before this team was like, okay, you got Dak wrapped up in this contract. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got your guys nailed down. You have your talent paid. Now let's go win a playoff game, because that's been Dallas's big things. Like you said, they're always good, but they're not winning in the playoffs. They're not even going to make the playoffs this season if they continue going like this.
Yeah.
To think that their biggest concern was winning at least a single playoff game, and now it's like, are we even going to have an even record this season?
It's
Rip.
scary.
But yeah, I am really happy for like Lions, Commanders, Texans. Like, you love to see the underdog. It's such, like, again, that's why we love the NFL.
We always love the underdogs. We'll see how the Cowboys do. It is scary because they have one less win than the Bengals right now. But like, the Bengals are different.
But the
and like,
Bengals
people love Joe Burrow.
People love Joe Burrow, and I do think like the Bengals they have such better momentum. Like, the Cowboys have a dark cloud over them right now.
Yeah,
and
they need to get out of the funk.
the Bengals are literally like rainbows and sunshine and Joe Burrow's face. Like, you know, like
Is he?
Teletubbies, how like they have like that baby in the sun. That's Joe Burrow's face is in the sun.
Not in
like
the press
Teletubbies.
conference today.
In my
the
heart
dark
and
cloud.
mind. That's how he has to be, though. He's being tough boy quarterback, and that's how you know he's good.
Yeah, I love that about him.
I love that too. Well, that wraps up our biggest winners and losers list. Let us know if you guys agree. This was fun. I like judging winners and losers.
Yeah.
I have one more thing that I wanted to share just from this game, or these series of games. It's a new football ick that I've realized I have. And I wasn't out there looking for an ick. I wasn't trying to be mean, but it was when I was watching one of the games and I was just like, it like really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just like a little bit like icked out, like I was grossed out. And this football ick is when teams take a timeout, and like non-strategic ones. There are strategic timeouts. There are timeouts when it's like you're trying to like ice out the kicker, or, you know, you're trying to throw the other team off and you're using them strategically. I'm talking about the timeouts that are, say you're on the defense and this other team is just running up the field and your defense is frazzled, and you say, hey, we actually need to call a timeout. Like, that's so embarrassing. Like, you literally are like, we're struggling right now. You're all seeing it. And we need to actually stop regulation time. And we need to take a little breather. We need to get our boys a little drink of water. And we just need a moment to regroup. And like, I was like, ew, like they pay you guys more than to just like, you can't like call a timeout. Like, if we're at work and we're in a meeting, we can't just be like, actually, I need 30 seconds to like not be so nervous and get my thoughts together. Like, no other careers work like that. Like, if you're in the game, you're in the presentation, you're in the meeting, you can't just say like, hey, I need a water break real quick. I'm going to actually step out of here. And like, it just like, it so publicly shows that, number one, they're struggling, and like their team knows it. The other team knows it. The fans know it. Everyone watching on TV knows it, because they're like, timeout, please. Like, we need to stop the clocks. Then I don't know, just give me the biggest dick.
That's so funny.
I hated it. I was like, just get it together.
Could there have been like a reason? I'm sure like they normally have reasons, but I get it. Like, you're showing your cards. You're showing your cards too much. Like,
yeah.
let's pump the brakes.
I'm mostly talking about the ick from like an emotional perspective. Like there's other ones that are like not strategic, but like you have to like say you have like 12 men on field and you don't want to get called a penalty. So you'll call a timeout before they can like the play starts to get your last guy off the field. That's annoying, but that's not like as embarrassing as like, oh my, like there's certain times where it's like they don't, like the quarterback doesn't know the play call, or maybe their microphone's not working and like they don't know what's going on, or there's guys that are confused or they're struggling and they just need a little break and they're tired. I'm like, don't let us know that. Obviously we're humans. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's like, we didn't need to know your inner dialogue.
Yeah.
And that it's not good.
That's fair.
Like talking about how Joe Burrow is like so tough and, you know, he's like Mr. Quarterback and he's like, I'm not even going to smile. These guys being like, actually, can I have some water? Like this drive is really wearing me out. And you just stop the clock and go on a commercial break. And everybody who's watching the game now knows.
Yeah.
It's just, it's an ick. That's all I'm going to say.
I love it.
Thank you.
I actually, while you were talking about this, it made me think of one.
I love it. Okay. What is it?
Okay. So I don't know if all players do this, but I saw a video of someone was like, if you're curious how players go to the bathroom during games, here's how.
Okay.
It was literally, they were on the sidelines. There were two people who are probably like, you know, nutritionists or just assistants that were helping. They were holding towels in front and in back of them. They peed in a pouch and then they threw it away.
What?
And I was like, why don't you go in that tent that like
Yeah,
you pull
why don't you
up
go in
when
the
you're
little,
injured?
Like, the injury tent. That's what I thought.
Yeah, no. And again, maybe it was just like he just really needed to go like be in a rush and like not do all the things. But if that's how they pee, which I've never witnessed before, I had never seen content like that.
I've never seen that.
I was like, I feel like there's a better way than a towel in the front and the back. Anyway.
And two components of that. Number one, just hold it for like halftime. Like, why do you have to go to the bathroom so bad? Aren't you sweating it out? Like, aren't you working hard enough? Number two, like that requires you as a grown man football player having to go tell somebody you have to go potty. And you'd be like, can you hold up the towel so I can go to the bathroom, please?
Yeah, please. It did feel like, it reminded me of when I used to go to the beach when I was younger. And when we would get out and we'd go in the shower, and my mom would make me change out of my bathing suit. She'd literally hold the towel around me. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys are grown boys, grown men.
Grown men on a nationally broadcasted stage, and you're having someone hold a towel for you so you can go pee-pee on the sidelines.
Go pee-pee. I got to go, just like I tell Takeo, you got to go shishi.
He's got to go shishi on the sidelines. Like, that's what's insane to me. Like, go to the bathroom first.
Yeah.
Or like, I guess like you can't have players walking into the locker room in the middle of the game. Like that just doesn't happen. But you have the medical tent for a reason. But I guess it's also like when players go into the medical tent, that's also announced. Like you're knowing when you're watching TV who's going to the medical tent, if anyone goes into the locker room, like not during halftime.
Yeah. Just like make a little mini one or something.
There should be like a different tent that's just like bathroom.
Yeah.
But I guess that might be hard to like set up.
Yeah.
Like
and I guess
potty.
if you need to be on call, like there is no faster way other than to have two towels in the front or the back of you. That way you can just pick up your helmet and go. But like, what's putting a little tent over you gonna do?
What is it? Two people holding the towels, or what's like the setup?
I think there was a person in the front and one person in the back.
Like girls or boys?
Two boys.
It's worse.
They were kind of bent down, like eye level with his.
Number one worst job for a man to have.
They might have been like, you know, water assistants or something.
Like think about like, and I'm just thinking like complete logistics. If you have to go, I'm sure it's somewhat of like a long pee, like more than a few seconds, and you're just like waiting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're not talking. I'm sure it's dead silent.
Yeah, no, their faces were turned away.
Oh God.
Like,
their faces were turned away. That's worse.
I wonder if I can find it.
We should post it if we can find it. Yeah. Because that's the most insane thing. How did you hear about that?
It was a video on TikTok.
Oh my God. Yeah. I want to find that video.
What is this?
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's a really good ick. I would never want to see a football player go to the bathroom on the sidelines.
I'm glad we brought this up because as you were telling me about it, I was like, oh yeah, I thought about.
I'm glad we brought that up too. That is
If there's
awful.
any new ones, we'll let the fumblers know.
Yes, we're keeping a list of these.
Yes.
And there's a lot. And I wish I never knew if they went to the bathroom, but now it's gonna be like all I can think about during the game.
And fumblers, let us know if you have any football icks.
Yes. We'd love to hear them. So much fun. Well, all right. That wraps up week 9.
Week 9.
This
going
was
into
fun.
double digits.
Going into double digits, you guys, this season. I mean, it's 18 weeks. So I guess we're exactly halfway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great. Well.
Wow. Noelle, have so much fun in Italy next week.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. The fumblers will miss you, but we can't see all the vacation footage.
Yes.
Maybe
I'm
you
excited.
can do an Italy takeover on the GDF story.
I'll do a recap.
Perfect.
I was actually going to go to the game in Munich, which is this Sunday.
Oh my God.
And it's the Panthers and the Giants. Which,
Bad matchup.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we're not. But I'll give you guys a little rundown when I get back. on how
We
the
can't
trip
wait.
is.
All right. Well, we'll miss ya and happy you got to do this episode. Thank you again for your dedication to the podcast.
No, you.
Thank you very much. We're both dedicated. 20 plus episode, bitch.
20 plus and what?
Yeah. Okay, we love you, fumblers.
Good night.
Bye.